Kevin, first play of the game, Lamar goes to run, does that 1-2 step, bang, helmet to helmet. Make it look like an accident. If Lamar's not in the game, he can't score. That's what I'm saying. Now get out of my face. Derek, you was complaining you was tired last week. I don't care. This week, we need 50 carries, 400 yards. We running every single play. We're going to run you till you can't breathe and you die. That's what I'm talking about. Whoa. AJ, rookies got to raise their hand before they speak. You don't got that privilege yet. Listen, I know Stephon Gilmore was good, but last week, 1 reception, 4 yards. We can't have that again. If we had that again, we cutting you and we sending you straight back to Division 3. We just can't have it. Get out of my face. Ladies and gentlemen, divisional round, preview and predictions. Let me tell you exactly what's going to happen. The Minnesota Vikings will head to San Francisco and attempt to recreate an even bigger miracle against the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about this game. Obviously, nobody thought they'd beat the Saints, but for them to beat the San Francisco 49ers, they got to be as good as they were and then some. San Francisco's home, obviously, they are the #1 seed in the NFC, and have they to make it to the Super Bowl, they will be home every single game, and they will not have to be on the road. Vikings 49ers. Now, we saw last week how Kirk Cousins stepped up a little bit, and he had a good game. It wasn't, a lot of people say that it's not so much quantity with him, but it's quality. Dalvin Cook ran very good for Minnesota against New Orleans last week as well, and Minnesota's defense came to play. They had a lot of players on clamps. Michael Thomas finished with under 100 yards, and but now they're going to San Francisco to take on a Super Bowl favorite in the NFC to a lot of people, and I think that this is where the miracle train ends for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not saying it's impossible they can beat them, but New Orleans was a shock to a lot of us. But if you watch the game, you can kind of see how it happened. For them to beat San Francisco in San Francisco, I think it would take an even bigger miracle. I do not see the Minnesota Vikings going into San Francisco to beat the 49ers. Again, Jimmy Garoppolo's on his game. We're going to see how the Minnesota defense does against him. They also have the run game. But the thing to look out for is the 49ers defense. The 49ers line could shut down Dalvin Cook very easily. Their receivers could, Stephon Diggs could be locked down. I'm sure that Richard Sherman will probably be covering him in this game. This is a very interesting game to watch, but I honestly do believe that this game will probably be a blowout. I think San Francisco is so strong. Their defense is just unbelievable, and I really do think that the Vikings are going to get a reality check Saturday afternoon, and I think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to run all over them, and they're just going to annihilate their soul. If, by some means, the Minnesota Vikings are able to win this game, then people better start talking, because beating the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans is hard enough, but if you go to San Francisco and beat this red-hot San Francisco defense and you shut them down from scoring, as far as scoring goes for San Francisco, I'm not expecting them to drop 40 points, but I'm also expecting Minnesota to be shut down on pretty much everything. I don't see Stephon Diggs having any type of big game. I do not see Dalvin Cook running big. I think they're going to have a very tough time scoring against this team, but this could easily turn into a defensive matchup. But I definitely think that San Francisco will get the better. They have George Kittle. They have so many different weapons also on offense. Michael Breida as well. You don't know what Jimmy Garoppolo is going to do. I believe this is his first playoff game, but I am going with the San Francisco 49ers to beat the Minnesota Vikings Saturday at 4:30. Saturday night, for me, will be a night full of either miraculous surprises or severe expected disappointment. The Tennessee Titans are heading to Baltimore to take on probably the best team in football. And if you want me to be honest with you, the more I research it and look at it, the less I think that we actually have a chance to win this game. What can the Titans do to beat Lamar Jackson? We're going to talk about that first. First, keep him off the field. Sounds simple, but it's really very simple. If Derrick Henry has another big game and we keep Lamar Jackson, we minimize his on-field presence, the Tennessee Titans have a chance in this game. Now, if Baltimore comes flying out of the gate and it's 21-zip early, the Titans will then be forced to pass to make up for those missed touchdowns. That is where it could get very, very ugly for the Titans. If the Titans do not set the tone, they don't have to set the tone, but they need to set the tone on defense. You're not going to stop Lamar Jackson, let's be honest. But you need to minimize his effect on the game. If you minimize Lamar Jackson's effect on the game, maybe he throws an interception early. Maybe you sack him. Just say that you will be in his face all night. the Titans have a chance to win this game. Of course, you're going to need a very big game as well from Derrick Henry. I don't think you're going to need 180 yards, but you need 100 plus. We saw Derrick Henry was phenomenal last week in the game against New England where we beat the New England Patriots. Derrick Henry needs a big game. Ryan Tannehill is going to have to play a little bit better. Now, again, they weren't so successful passing the football because primarily they didn't have to be. Derrick Henry was doing pretty much all the work for the Titans scoring the ball last week, and we're not going to need that again, but we will need more than 72 yards against the Baltimore Ravens. Also, we need A.J. Brown to have a bigger game. Now, we're expecting him to be locked down. You know, if you look at this Ravens team, they are literally loaded in almost every position. They're also at home and they're on this miracle run. So for a lot of people, this game was going to be a blowout. I'm not sure that it's going to be a blowout, but I could easily see the Ravens dominating this game. And I hate to say that because I really like this Titans team and I want us to keep it going. But I think that it's going to be really, really, really hard to get out of Baltimore with a win. The Ravens, very easy for them to win the game. They have weapons everywhere. Lamar Jackson can run. Lamar Jackson can throw. The Ravens have wide receivers. They have Mark Andrews. They have Mark Ingram they could run. Their defense is good. Their pass rush could be in there. They could shut down Henry. Their secondary is good. The Baltimore Ravens are loaded absolutely everywhere on the field. They're 14-2 for a reason. They dominated through some of the toughest teams in football this year. So why do the Titans have a chance? Well, folks, it's any given Sunday or Saturday night, rather, in this situation. Hate to say it, breaks my heart. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to show up, and they're going to show up big. And I think that this is the end of the road for us. I hope that I am wrong. We do have a chance, but I think that it's going to be very hard, not just for us, but I think it's going to be difficult for anybody to beat the Baltimore Ravens, even San Francisco. So I'm not saying it's impossible because I said what I said was impossible is when Carolina was heading to Denver and that defense locked them down. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win this game, not by choice. I really do hope that it is not a blowout and it doesn't go out of proportion quickly because I could easily see the Ravens putting up 40 and winning 40-17 in their first playoff game. Baltimore Ravens will advance to AFC Championship weekend, and that leads me to who I think they will face. A very interesting game, one of the more interesting games of the week, kicks off your Sunday at 3 o'clock, and that is the Houston Texans going to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes missed a couple of games this year, but it didn't affect his talent or skill whatsoever. If you look at his numbers, Patrick Mahomes still finished with fantastic stats. And Kansas City will be hosting the Houston Texans, who escaped their own stadium against the Buffalo Bills by a miraculous play by Deshaun Watson, which set them up for a field goal. And the Texans are headed to Kansas City. This is a battle of two young, star, and bright future quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes speaks for himself. He may be the best young quarterback in football. And then you have Deshaun Watson, who is right on the outside. I personally believe that the Texans shouldn't have beat Buffalo, but they did. And I don't see them beating Kansas City. I think Kansas City's got more weapons. As far as DeAndre Hopkins, he could have a presence in this game. Kansas City's run game is also going to be effective. We don't know exactly what we'll get out of Houston's run game in this. I think that, it's going to be a lot of scrambling on both sides of the football. You're going to see Mahomes does do scrambling better than Deshaun Watson. If the Chiefs pass rush can get to Deshaun Watson, I think it's going to be a tough game for him. I think it's actually going to be a really tough game for the Houston Texans. J.J. Watt is also going to hopefully potentially be a factor for the Houston Texans in their game against Kansas City. But I think Mahomes is due for a very big game, and I've been saying that. It could easily go back and forth, and I could see this being a very good game, considering that the Chiefs' defense is a little bit of a question mark. It's played a little bit better, but I do believe that the Chiefs' defense is a bit of a question mark. So I am expecting, when it's all said and done, I'm expecting Kansas City to get out of Kansas City with the win. And most likely, depending on what happens in Tennessee-Baltimore, they will probably be heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. I think Mahomes is going to have a big game. I think Damian Williams is going to have a big game. I don't know exactly who's going to be locking up or attempting to lock up Tyreek Hill. And again, one of the problems for Houston is that their defense, from what I know, is not very good against the pass. And if you can't defend the pass against Kansas City, that is going to kill you. So I think that Kansas City is due for a big game. But this could easily be an exciting game as well. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs to win. Final game of your week. This game these two teams who have become rivals in the last 4 years have no shortage of classic and unbelievable moments. That is the Green Bay Packers, who had earned a first-round bye in a home playoff game, hosting the Seattle Seahawks, who are coming off of that not pretty, but they got it done win against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. And this is another battle between two quarterbacks that like to scramble. Russell Wilson's a little bit more skilled at it, obviously, but Aaron Rodgers as a whole is the better quarterback. This game is very interesting. I think this is one of the harder games to predict because I believe that despite what Seattle showed us against Philadelphia, I still think that Seattle has a bit of a chance in this game. But I think that when it's really all said and done, I think Aaron Rodgers is really going for it this year. And I think that the Packers are going to get this job done against Seattle Seahawks. Now, Marshawn Lynch obviously was not the biggest factor against the Eagles again, but in two of his 2 games, he did have to play tough lines. He had to play the San Francisco line, and then he had to play the Philadelphia Eagle line as well. So I'm going with the Green Bay Packers to win this game. Russell Wilson could make it interesting. Maybe he could dominate them, but I don't really see that happening. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers to punch their ticket to NFC Championship weekend, and they will most likely be heading west to San Francisco for that win. I'm going with the Green Bay Packers to win. Once again, these are all your predictions in a nutshell. I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers to win, the Baltimore Ravens to win, the Kansas City Chiefs to win, and the Green Bay Packers to win. That means that all 4 of the first-round bye teams will advance to championship weekend. And then from there, I'll make my predictions based on what happens. It should be an interesting week of football. If it comes anything close to what Wild Card Weekend was, it damn sure will be. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It is so crucial. Even if you don't like sports, it goes to support the channel. We're going to have some videos coming out soon. We're going to try to transition a little bit to wrestling a little bit. I know there's a lot of people. Wrestling content on media sources is a huge thing. So, and that is actually a lot of what I got my semi-popularity from my channel. A lot of it was from wrestling because we've got the Royal Rumble coming up. We're going to be talking about a lot of that as well. Maybe we'll talk about some basketball in the mix as well. Make sure you subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching and enjoy the games this weekend.